And I think there are a number of the miracle stories which just have that ring of truth about them. Now, that's the biblical scholarship at one level, which I think is important for us to do. I think then, as a scientist, I want to come with a number of convictions. The first is that 20th century physics tells us that the universe is far more subtle and supple than we ever imagined it to be. We live with the legacy of Isaac Newton's clockwork universe, where the universe is picturable and predictable. And so the transformation of God has rules which he can't break is based on that clockwork universe. But in the 20th century, as you well know, quantum theory and then chaotic or complex systems like the weather, we discovered that actually the universe is not as picturable or as predictable as that clockwork universe was. Now, I don't want to push that too far to say, well, this is where God works in quantum systems. But I do want to take seriously, as John Polkinghorne used to say, these things remind us of the danger of the tyranny of common sense. Our everyday experience and common sense isn't a good guide to the way the universe actually is, or indeed how God might work in the universe. And then I think coming back to that sense of the God who created the laws has agency to work in, through, and beyond the laws is a very important theological question. And that maintaining of some limited agency for God to work means that that I'm open to God working in unusual ways. Now, all of that is not to say that I don't think there's an interesting question as a scientist about where the energy comes from. I want to ask that question. And as a scientist, I want to say, when people claim evidence for healing or evidence for the resurrection of Jesus, what is that evidence? And let's have an honest and serious conversation about it. I think that's important. But I don't think that all of those things need to be talked about in the round. I don't think that one of these things rules out the possibility of miracles. And so I know that's a very long answer to a very succinct question. But I think sometimes we get ourselves fascinated with wanting to give one-line answers to actually very difficult questions. And one of the real problems of miracle for me is actually not the science. The real problem of miracle for me is, if God can work by miracle, why can't he do it more often and in more serious ways?